We're here this morning with Dr. Vivien Allen from Texas Tech University. Dr. Allen, can you tell us why some farmers and producers should include livestock in their practices?
Well, when it's appropriate, incorporating livestock and forages gives you more of a diversification of agriculture. One of the problems we've run into in agriculture in general is that we've gone towards more and more of a monoculture approach, and that's been very successful. We've been very good at what we've done, and you get economies of scale, but we're now learning that we're paying a pretty high environmental price for doing this, and that there is value in diversifying and in rotations and in alternating between crops and forages. Forages bring a lot of things to that are of benefit to agriculture in soil stabilization and carbon sequestration and water quality and many other things such as wildlife habitat. So where it's appropriate, it can bring a lot of advantages into agriculture in general.
Do different types of livestock have different benefits?
Oh, absolutely. They're all different. They graze differently. They have different behaviors. They have different grazing patterns. There are different economic opportunities. Sometimes combining different species of livestock is an advantage. Sheep and cattle or other things can be an approach that can be useful. But yes, they're different, and they do bring different things to the table.
What are some examples of how producers have done this?
Out here, it has primarily been with beef cattle, and that's been primarily either with stocker cattle. A lot of our cattle are raised in the east, and the calves are shipped at weaning out to the western areas where there's opportunities for grazing. And of course, we're in that area where a lot of the feedlots are located, and so it's a natural progression for these calves to migrate towards us. And so that gives a lot of opportunities for bringing in stocker cattle. We also are an area where cow-calf production is of growing interest, and I think we're going to see more of that. So a number of different ways you can approach this.
Is there any new technology that you would like to highlight?
Well, I think a number of things are being looked at, and of course we're doing things like looking at the irrigation efficiencies, different types of irrigation strategies, types of technologies that let us understand just how much water was being applied and how effective that is, when it's time to irrigate, when it's not time to irrigate. But one of the things we've focused on in the research I've done since I've been at Texas Tech is looking at the advantage of integrating these systems as opposed to a monoculture. And we have one of the longest running full-scale systems research sites in the country here in the Texas High Plains. And that research continues to show that integrating crops and livestock can reduce water use, it can reduce soil erosion, it can maintain profitability, it can diversify what you're doing. All your eggs aren't in one basket, so to speak. So there are a lot of advantages that way. Legumes are something we're working with, looking at nitrogen fixation. A lot of different things are being looked at very closely.
Speaking specifically to water conservation, how much water exactly are we talking about?
If I knew the answer to that, but a lot of people would like to know it, and I would too. What we do know is that we are sitting on top of one of the oldest and largest water sources in the Ogallala Aquifer in the country. It's an incredibly important aquifer, and we're virtually looking at a finite resource. So over the past 75 to 100 years, we've been pumping that at a rate that exceeds any potential for recharge. So what we do know is that we can't continue to pump it at the same rate that we've been pumping it. We've got to get more efficient, be smarter about what we're doing. We have to use that resource, but we've got to be a whole lot more efficient in how we do that to extend the life of the aquifer and to keep agriculture viable.
What are some future projects and research that you're working on?
Well, right now we're working on a number of different things. Of course, carbon and the environment are big issues, climate change. We are working to look at the different technologies that have an effect on carbon release to the atmosphere, or the reverse of that. How can we capture that carbon and put it back in the soil? Nitrous oxide is also a greenhouse gas that's of great importance, and that's part of what we're looking at, is to see how these systems affect that. We are looking a lot at nitrogen fixation by legumes and how that's impacting carbon cycling and nitrogen cycling in this environment. But one of the problems with legumes is that they are water-thirsty plants, and we've got to find ways to do that without using more water. Water is the central issue. Almost everything we do comes back to water somehow.
And how are you involved with the Texas Alliance of Water Conservation?
Well, I've been involved with that from the very beginning. It was because of the research that we were involved with at New Deal that we had the basis to build the Texas Alliance for Water Conservation. And we were able to successfully write the proposal that brought in the funds to start that project. So research, demonstration, education, it's all part of the package. And the Texas Alliance for Water Conservation has become one of the most successful on-farm, producer-run demonstrations of how we can continue to farm and save water anywhere in the world, I think, actually. So I've been involved from the very beginning.